1980. To most people, that date alone doesn't mean a whole lot. However, when you put it in the context that that was the launch date for the first cable news network, it means significantly more. When the cable news network, or CNN, was first thought of by Ted Turner, a lot of his colleagues thought he was crazy. 26 years later, in a 24/7 news cycle and environment where we're constantly dealing with breaking news, people are thinking that idea wasn't so crazy. In this report, we will be examining what's changed, how stations present, and 3, how CNN and other networks like it have developed public policy. Let's start with the first one, and back in 1979, for example, you were mainly getting news from newspapers and network or local newscasts. You would usually have one 30-minute block of news outside of your immediate area. So, for example, national and international news, you would generally be limited to the offerings from ABC, CBS, or NBC. You weren't going to be able to get it on demand. However, now, news is on 24 hours a day. The news cycle never stops. As you can see, video right now of an event as it was breaking, as it was continuing to develop. Now, newspapers no longer have the luxury of being the first to break a story. If it happens overnight, it's generally going to be on news, on TV about the second it happens. To quote a Variety columnist back in 1980, right as CNN was beginning to do breaking news and had just went on the air, he said, "I got the day's news a whole cycle earlier." He didn't have to wait for the newspaper. He saw it on CNN right about midnight. As a result of people getting their news earlier, expectations of news organizations have changed drastically. If you haven't noticed, a lot of stations put a big emphasis on breaking news. This just in. A lot of content is new right now. This is what people care about. This is what we're being told people care about. And as a result, you will see people putting emphasis on amazing video, new information right as we get it. Everybody wants to be the first to a story, and that has really developed how news organizations work. Fox News, CNN, down to local affiliates, for example. It doesn't seem to matter where you are working in television and where you are working in news. Breaking news is ever more important, and you can also find that on newspaper websites nowadays who have also put an emphasis on breaking news up to the minute. This is what we know. And finally, public policy, or the real CNN effect, the theory that 24-hour news channels and the continuous coverage of events brings awareness to American audiences. This has actually become a theory of political science. A lot of political scientists have been talking about 24/7 news cycles and news organizations, how their intense coverage of stories from beginning to end and all points in between have resulted in a greater awareness on everyone's part. For example, back in the 80s, Tiananmen Square, Desert Storm, the first Iraq War, which really put CNN on the map as a dominant news leader. All of these events have kind of spread out the knowledge of events and has really forced the hand of public policymakers, such as foreign leaders, to really put an emphasis on what they're doing. They know that every move they make is being scrutinized in the media. Sometimes they're being observed 24/7, and as a result, that has really played a significant role in public policy. So to review 3 important areas CNN has covered: 1, how people get their news; 2, how news operations present the news; and 3, how public policy is developed. Those are areas that we are working on a little more deeply. We will have more for you in December.